Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and this is how to use Alolan Raticate, otherwise known as FATICATE, and my new favorite, Raticake. But let's go and check out this dark, normal-type Pokemon, and it's kind of strange what happens when you get dark plus normal, because now we have a 4 times weakness to fighting, and then that ghost resistance now becomes an immunity, so we're not getting any major benefits off of, like, normal plus dark. So what we see right here is that we are going to be 4 times weak to fighting, 2 times weak to bug and fairy. We have immunities to ghost and psychic, and then the resistance to dark typings. Look at our typing offensively. Again, I don't think it brings much to the table. That we already have that super effective hit against ghosts, I don't think it really adds much to the normal. The only thing we really gain are going to be neutral hits to dark, fairy, and fighting, but a lot of other typings do that as well. Now, since this is an Alolan form of an existing Pokemon, we have to look at these stats comparatively. So as you can see right here, the hit points are going to go up, the attack is going to go down. So overall, Alolan Raticate gets slower and tankier while also losing damage because it's going to be a primary physical attacker. So yeah, we're losing out 10 damage just for free right there. But even then, what does this mean? This means we still have a low base power Pokemon that's slow, not really all that bulky, because 75 hit points, 70 defense. If we're not fully tank invested, we're going to get blown up neutrally by a lot of Pokemon. And even at full tanky investment, we're still going to get blown up by a lot of Pokemon while not being able to do a lot of damage. So now let's go over to Cerebi and try to sort this one out. So for the Alolan form, we're going to see that we have the Gluttony ability, Hustle, and Thick Fat. Now, Thick Fat effectively gives you 2 extra resistances of fire and ice. I don't think it's going to be super useful on the Raticate. We can see that Hustle and Gluttony do have uses, and we'll go and transition that when we start building the moveset. As for the usable moves of Raticate, since we have our normal typing, we get solid damage out of the return, and then it's just going to be like Crunch, Sucker Punch, Assurance for our stab options. So Sucker Punch is priority, Assurance is doubles in damage, Crunch is more reliable damage, and that's kind of all that there is to it. We want to use Swords Dance, we can do stuff, and that is going to be the Raticate. Now for the TMs and egg moves, it's kind of different because as you can see right here, we can see the form differences for the what the Pokemon learns, and we actually get bulk up on the Alolan Raticate. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of sustain, and we don't have a lot of, like, if you're going to use bulk up, just find a bulkier Pokemon with more damage to bulk up with instead of the Alolan Raticate. Also get access to the Shadow Claw on exclusively the Alolan Raticate. And then the egg moves are something crazy because we pick up Stockpile. Stockpile is an insanely good move, but no sustain makes it kind of challenging. Like Stockpile Rest or Stockpile Chesto Resto means that we're kind of falling behind on what else we can do. So things to consider with the Alolan Raticate. We also get Final Gambit with our increased hit point pool, which could be usable. And then we still don't get access to the Flame Wheel. So some of these things do change around a bit for the Alolan Raticate. Now let's go and check out the moveset and what Alolan Raticate is going to do. So first off, I want to look at Hustle, because Hustle gives us 50% more damage. And I feel that can combo with a lot of things. So we go Swords Dance, Life Orb, Sucker Punch, and then in theory we might KO every Pokemon ever, or we just Hustle Choice Band and try to get a lot of Sucker Punch damage that way. But unfortunately, with our 71 attack, even with an Adamant Nature, we only effectively have a 110 attack with that Hustle, and Hustle has a drawback that all of our accuracy is cut by 20%. So there's just a chance that we miss, and then we die because we're kind of frail still, so that's a big issue right there. So imagine every time you've used Stone Edge, except when you're using moves like Return, Sucker Punch, and I like the idea of Reversal, just because we're kind of bulky, so if we get below 25% health, Reversal is going to be a pretty good option. Also, super effective hits against Steel and Rock-type Pokemon. Those resist our Return, so Reversal I think can work out if we are in an opportunity to use it. On that, Raticate just has a couple of those other moves. We can use the Shadow Claw. That's kind of it though, like we don't really have too much else other than just like fighting, dark, normal. Let's see what we can do with this coverage right here. And yeah, the damage is going to drop off. Now also another thing that we can do is use a Salac Berry. So Gluttony and Hustle, they both have their respective uses on the Alolan Raticate. Gluttony makes it to where when the Pokemon's hit points half or less, it can use the berries that activate when you're at a quarter or less. So this is going to be a very reliable Salac Berry that you just tank a hit, hopefully don't die, because we have moderate bulk, so a lot of the hits are just going to be like 2-hit KO range on us. So we survive, we get a speed boost. With this Adamant Nature, it gives us effectively 193 speed at level 50, which means we're going to be outspeeding Pokemon up to 123. Actually, we're outspeeding 123 Pokemon as well. So Greninja, Noivern, anything slower than them, we are going to be able to outspeed, which is why you run the Crunch instead of the Sucker Punch. I feel that the Pokemon that are faster than you, if you're just running, you know, stuff, like a +2, no item, 71 attack Pokemon, Sucker Punch, Nerf, it's not going to be worth it over the crunch where you just have more damage against Pokemon you're outspeeding, which is why you're running the Salak Berry, because you're looking to outspeed Pokemon. So the idea is you Swords Dance, and then you just run it like that. So we have access to Return. Return is going to be our biggest form of damage right here. So 150 base power, a little more than 150 base power after Stab comes into play. Crunch for coverage, Reversal for coverage, because we can take a big hit, and then we have Reversal damage behind our speed boosting. So yeah, Swords Dance, take a hit, Salak Berry activates. Hope you do well after that. Some other things the Raticate can do is that with the Gluttony Berry, this will also affect the Confusion Berries as well. So we effectively have 150% of our hit point pool, so we're going to be a little tankier than expected. But again, we're losing damage, we're losing other item benefits that we can have. But it's going to be Gluttony, a Guava Berry, and just a surprising amount of tankiness. So with this set, I was thinking doubles, that we go for hit point bulk, we go for all the damage that we can get, and then you just Super Fang and then try to combo it out from there, you know? Super Fang, that's going to be half of the target's hit points, so that works really well into something like a Rock Slide, a Heat Wave. If you're hitting both of your opponents, then yeah, the Super Fang is going to soften them up, you find a KO, you hit more damage on another Pokemon, or you also have the Assurance. So if there's a really bulky Pokemon, power doubles if the target was damaged this turn. So again, double hitting moves. You know Rock Slide doesn't have a lot of KO potential, but chance to flinch, and then you Assurance, and then you finish up the KO on that other Pokemon. Sucker Punch for priority and damage, and then Return just because of big damage without the Assurance. So yeah, the Guava Berry means that they kind of have to focus you. Like, you're going to start eating up some hits, you get an extra survivability off that Guava Berry, so now you're 3-hit KO Pokemon, and you're threatening things. Super Fang is a dangerous move that, okay, half of the tanky Pokemon's health is gone, now it's able to actually be KO'd when it wouldn't have been in a KO range before. Assurance, still a lot of damage. Sucker Punch, priority is always annoying to deal with. So there's a threat to the Raticate. I'm not saying it's like the most powerful and threatening support Pokemon, but it's kind of funny to see the opponent have to throw damage onto Raticate, have it survive, a Guava Berry half its health back, and then the other Pokemon still doing a lot of damage. And then we have Scarf Final Gambit, because 77 base speed, Jolly Nature, we find a really high amount of outspeeds, and we don't have to invest it into anything else with the Final Gambit. We just max out our hit points, and now we're also taking down some fairly tanky Pokemon, so we can cheese a KO onto something like the Toxapex, that we just Final Gambit the Toxapex, because it has a lower hit point pool than us. Rotom. So this is going to be a really good low hit point pool tank Pokemon. Like if it's a high defense tank, Raticate comes in, takes it out, or it can just take out a sweeper. That sweeper Pokemon don't invest their hit points, so we can just come in and remove a threat very quickly like that. At that 77 base speed, at level 50, that is going to give us outspeeds on Pokemon like Tapu Koko. So Tapu Koko, Final Gambit it with the Scarf Raticate. There goes a big threat. Now it's a 3v3. Hopefully you can do more with that 3v3 than the opponent is doing, and that could lead to some pretty interesting situations right there. So that's going to be it on the damage look for the Raticate. As for Reversal, if you're in like the 10% range or lower, even 20% range, then you can find some really reliable damage, because once you break that 150, well, now it's doing as much or more damage than Return, so it's okay to just go out, throw the Reversal, even though it's a non-stab move. Now, damage calculations, because that's kind of how we're going to make sense of all of this. So I was looking for best case scenario, +2, Adamant Nature, Hustle, Life Orb, Sucker Punch, and we're edging out KOs on to the Garchomp. But look at this, even with full hit point investment, a Life Orb Garchomp with a Jolly Nature just shreds us. And here's why I didn't really show an item when I was doing this moveset right here, because Life Orb, yes, that gives you the damage that you need, but you're taking 10% at the end turn, after you're already taking damage from Swords Dance setup, after you're already taking all this damage, and you need to be as tanky as possible when you're not a tanky Pokemon. So that leads to some situations and problems, because we land the Sucker Punch, well, Rough Skin, Life Orb, now our Raticate's dead. And Life Orb, if we don't have it, well, now we're not even KOing a Garchomp. So it shows that while it does sound good in practice to just like hustle and damage boost and choice band and all kinds of stuff like that. Where's the choice band? Okay, so we also have choice band numbers right here. So this is against Pokemon like Tapu Koko. So a very similarly tanky Pokemon to us. That's 70 base hit points, 85 base defense, uninvested sweeper Pokemon. They do damage to us, we survive it, and then we just hustle the choice band. Hopefully it doesn't miss, and then we can KO a decent range of Pokemon, but it stops at the Silvally. It gets close, so there is damage threat right here, but it's kind of like Raticate 1-for-1s, that it has an 80% chance to 1-for-1 on the Raticate. So we can either 2-hit KO on the Sucker Punch reliably, or we just 1-hit KO on the return, because the Sucker Punch damage, that's kind of what changes it, and it kind of turns us into like a 1-for-1 plus, because Sucker Punch, take a hit, Sucker Punch, die. That's the cycle of a Raticate. If they're faster than 77 uninvested base speed and they have priority, then they're also going to threaten us as well. So you do have to worry about that, and then that can neutralize our effectiveness right there. So that's kind of the straight up damage on the Raticate. Some other boosting things I was looking into. What about the Salac Berry set? Well, the Salac Berry set's going to have some problems because we don't have Hustle. We're still doing the +2, but now we're putting it into speed. So that means we have to match up against sweeper Pokemon instead of above average tankier Pokemon like the Garchomp, like the Silvally. And Greninja, well, at least we do well against the Greninja, but Greninja isn't a strong Pokemon, so I don't know what that's really saying. So as you can see, we can tank a non-super effective, so just a neutral special attack from the Greninja. We can tank that even though we don't have any hit point investment, and then we just outscarf it, hit it with a return because of our Adamant +2 Swords Dance, and that's kind of what we're looking for. So as long as everything that comes after us is slower than Greninja and is frail as a Greninja, then the Raticate will do just fine. That's kind of it though. Like even then, like the +2 damage with the Adamant nature on a 71 attacking Pokemon, that's not a lot, and we're not getting any boosting from items. So it kind of shows that even a 130 or a 120 Pokemon using a choice item or a life orb is getting comparable damage. That's not that fantastic. And then we also have like crunch damage lineups and stuff. So it's mostly just going to be return from that point. And then I was looking into the Sucker Punch. So Hyper Fang Sucker Punch, is that a good combo? Answer is no. Let's say we have like the Aguava Berry or Confusion Berry, so we're trying to get some extra tankiness. But if we Super Fang, that's half their health, and then Sucker Punch isn't even half of a Pokemon's health for a very frail Pokemon like the Oricorio, 75-70. We can't combo that one out, so I don't really see much good coming from that, even with Adamant nature, even with that. Now, even if you give it up for something like the Dread Plate, which boosts Dark-type moves, it's only 20%. And it's still not enough. Like, it's a chance to KO after we get into that 50% right there. But overall, it's not going to be good against most Pokemon, and we're not going to be tanky enough to really justify it, even with full hit point investment. So that's the Raticate, guys. I think it has some surprise power when you Choice Scarf the final Gambit, and when you can also get the Salac Berry, but then it just gets walled out super easy. There goes all of your setup. Raticate comes in, it's frail, and then it just accomplishes nothing afterwards. So there we go, guys. That is how you use Alolan Raticate. If it had better stats, if it got like an insane buff like +80 to its stats from the Alolan form instead of just a shift around, maybe we'd see some threat out of this. Maybe could have used some sustain, but other than that, it's an interesting Pokemon. It can maybe cheese out something. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.